We are the ladies of Spark My Interest podcast. My name is Diana. I'm Deborah.
I'm Jessie.
Sometimes our content is shocking. The church blew up. Other times it's hilarious.
Did he do it? Yeah.
But the one thing it always is interesting.
That's how they decided?
I had no
Based on the moon? So tune in every Monday for a new episode and get sparked.
What's the matter with you? You should take the money.
I can only get her an appointment for Thursday. They do their act at the Sheldrake on Thursday night. If they cancel, they lose this season's salary, next year's gig.
What's the Sheldrake?
It's another hotel where they do their mambo act.
Can't someone else fill in?
No, Miss Fix-It, somebody else can't fill in. Maria has to work all day. She can't learn the routines, and Jenna has to fill in for Penny. Everybody works here. What, do you want to do it? Want to take time out from Simon Says?
It's not a bad idea.
It was a joke, Billy.
She can't move.
No, it's the dumbest idea I ever heard of.
I can't even do the merengue. Johnny, you're a strong partner. You can lead anybody.
But you heard her. She can't even do the merengue.
She can't do it. She cannot do it.
Welcome back to the show, everybody.
Welcome back.
Oh my goodness, this is a very exciting episode.
We got into the triple digits, Pete.
Yes, indeed. I can't even believe it. But let's just go ahead and jump right in. Everybody listening, my name's Pete.
And I'm Scott. And these are the movies that made us gay. Episode 100, motherfuckers.
Wow.
We made it. That's almost an episode a year, an episode a week for 2 years. We took a little break there, but for the most part, an episode a week.
Yeah. Well, congratulations, Scott.
Congratulations. I'm proud of us.
Thank you. I'm as well. But also, we've got some fun stuff today. Why don't you introduce the movie that we watched and our wonderful guest?
We had Millie De Chirico back on. Hi, Millie.
Hi, I'm so honored to be here for your 100th episode.
I think that Mannequin was, episode 6, I think? So we weren't even at 10.
Yeah.
God,
that's wild.
It's amazing.
So early, yeah. And Millie, you've been doing great with I Saw What You Did podcast.
Yeah.
So much fun.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
And you guys were on TV last night with TCM Slumber Ground.
Yeah.
I was at work, so I didn't get it. But I'll get the episode later on YouTube.
Yeah. We essentially, I've been doing this thing called TCM Underground for 15 years or something. It's been a really long time. It's basically a late night cult movie franchise on TCM. And, just been programming stuff in the middle of the night for a really long time. And then when pandemic hit, basically was thinking, we're sitting around bored and we're on Zoom all the time. So why don't we just record some stuff? And essentially I got 3 of my coworkers. And one of them being Ben Cheeves, who I know has been on your podcast.
Yes, friend of the show, Ben.
Yeah. And he and 2 of our other colleagues, we've been, doing these kind of videos on YouTube every month. We'll take some of the movies that we are airing on the network for Underground and sort of talk about them and, we'll just have a little weird fun. And, we have our TCM Film Festival every year. And this year it was on the channel because, obviously we're not doing it in person in LA. And they asked us if we would introduce Grease 2, which was seriously, I think
amazing.
Ben... This might have been the greatest moment of his life because he's a huge Grease 2 fan. And so they let us on and we were on pretty early. I mean, this was not a 2 a.m. thing. This was pretty early.
It was 8 p.m. Pacific.
Oh my God. I could not believe it. And I was
you got prime time.
Yeah. But it was so much fun. I think a lot of people hadn't seen Grease 2 in a while, on TV. Yeah. And we had never played it on TCM before, so it was a blast. And Maxwell Caulfield was tweeting at us. I mean, it was super fun. So it was awesome.
Grease 2 is, first of all, Grease 2 is wild.
Yes.
It's insane. But, what I didn't know is that the kids, the millennials and the Gen Z, they love it. Did you know that?
That I didn't, but I'm so glad to hear that for whatever reason.
It's fully a thing, and they love it more than Grease 1.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand this phenomenon, but I worked with like some kids a couple of years ago, and they were like, "Oh yeah, it's my favorite movie. It's so much better than the first." I was like, "What are you? What the what?" So yeah, it's kind of having a moment right now.
Good for them. I mean, honestly, like part of what we talked about on the episode was this idea of like there being, you know, people who only like Grease 2 and don't like Grease 1, and I think that's very interesting. I find them both valuable. I definitely, if it were just up to me, I think I'm a Grease 2 person, to be honest.
Ah, okay.
But Grease 1 is great. I mean, it's a classic, and you can't deny that. So,
I mean, I just anything with Adrian Zemed.
I know. I could not believe how during the score tonight he is showing out in a big way, in a way that I never realized as a child.
Yes, he is. I'm telling you. And I mean, we just got some bad news today that Tawny Katane unfortunately passed away, which is not great news, but we are going to watch Bachelor Party tonight in her honor.
Oh, good.
And you want to talk about Adrian Zemed showing out.
Oh, my God. No kidding.
He is without a shirt the entire movie.
He's like talking about bimbos at one point. I forgot like his whole... You know.
Yeah, the bimbo situation, that movie is so 80s, I can't even stand it. We're here for anything Amy Jo Sperber.
Of course.
Adrian Zemed, you know.
I said no hookers.
So,
well, very appropriate that you guys did Grease 2 because, we're doing Grease 2 next week.
Oh, yeah, we are.
It's episode 101.
Oh, my God. Fantastic.
How about that?
Oh my God!
Tune in, listeners.
Oh my God, you guys are killing it! Like I swear, it's like every time I hear if I hear an episode, I'm just sort of like agreeing along with you guys all the time, obviously. But then like when I see like the promotion for the next one, I'm like, oh my God, perfect. I mean,
and the stars aligned when you programmed Earth Girls Are Easy.
Oh yeah,
the week like the Friday that our episode came out.
Yeah,
that's perfect. Perfect.
Love that movie.
Yeah.
So. We gathered today for episode 100. Really wanted to do something special for episode 100. And it just seems like somebody like Patrick Swayze, everyone can agree that everybody just fucking loves Patrick Swayze. Like, everybody. It's just like, it's something that we can all agree on, and we're doing Dirty Dancing for episode 100.
Yay.
And I knew that you would be perfect to talk about Dirty Dancing.
Thank you. I'm so honored that you think that. I really am.
You know, Dirty Dancing has something that I feel like gay men, straight women, everybody can just agree on. And I think that, like, for me, two words that kind of sum up Dirty Dancing are sexual awakening.
Yes.
Definitely.
It is just something that we should not have been watching as children. We had no business watching this at the age we all watched it, I'm sure. You know, what were our parents thinking? Allowing us some of the subject matter. And it's not just the Dirty Dancing. I feel like the Dirty Dancing of the title is just kind of like, it's there, but it's not really the idea. It's not like the Lambada and the Forbidden Dance. Those movies were like overtly sexy. This movie's just like adult with like, you know, abortions and, you know, adultery and just these big ideas and concepts that me as a child was not prepared for emotionally. But, you know, hey, we love it now.
No, I totally agree with you there. There was a lot going on in that movie that, like, I didn't realize how kind of class based the movie was, like, when I was a kid. I mean, there's the whole idea that Johnny Castle might be sort of dabbling in sex work because he's accepting, you know, that kind of thing. It's like, I didn't know that shit at all when I was a kid.
No.
And then, you know, now that I've seen it about literally like 30-something times at this point, you know, I'm like, as a grown woman going, oh, wow, there was a lot going on in this movie. So, totally.
Yeah, absolutely. The class situation, just the idea of this like summer camp for families that as a kid you're just like, sure, that's a thing. People people do or did that at some point. I never questioned it, you know?
Yeah.
And
did you guys ever go to camp? Did you ever do that with your families? Like, I never did.
I mean, I feel like my family would go to a place like this over their dead body.
But you're woodsy though.
I'm like woodsy, like my mom and stepdad and my biological dad would rather be out like fishing or bow hunting.
Yeah.
So this is something that's very foreign to me for like a family vacation.
Yeah, these are country people. They fish, they hunt with bows and arrows.
Yeah.
Okay. They're crazy. My family and I would go like camping, but not to like resorts like this at all.
Yeah.
And then the camping that we would do was very like Southern California camping.
Yeah.
So you'd go out to like the Central Valley and they have like these campsites where like you book like, and there's like a number on it and you go, you know, very kind of corporate camping. So we did that. And as a kid, I was fascinated with the idea of summer camp.
Yes, me too.
Sleepaway camp, that kind of thing. And I kind of figured that it was an East Coast situation. But yeah, seeing Dirty Dancing, I was just like, I knew it was the 60s, but also it's that very 80s lens of the 60s where
love it. Yeah.
If they weren't playing all that music, there would be no indication that this movie was the 60s.
Yes.
Right?
And sometimes the music is 80s.
Exactly.
I was going to say, I think that I have in my notes that this is like a parallel version of the 1960s as seen through the lens of the 1980s.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that it works with the tone that the director just does not care about period realism. It's just like, we're making a movie for the young people of 1987. Like, we don't care.
Yeah, I love how I hope this is not put into cart before the horse, but at the end where Johnny has his big dance number and he takes a 45 and puts it on the record player, and then it plays the 1980s song that's being made by, you know, Jennifer Warren or whatever. That cracks me up. No,
absolutely. Last night when he like walks in and he gives the 45 to Billy, and like we're sitting there and I'm just and I said out loud, I was like, Billy, I've come from the future.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was released on 45 in 1987. They were still printing those.
Oh, they were, definitely.
But
definitely.
That is so wild. Yeah. There's also a scene where the sister is going to meet like the waiter that we hate. We hate that waiter. He's so evil.
Waiter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And she's like on her way to like go lose her virginity to him. And this like Pointer Sisters song or something.
Yeah.
You're like, what is happening?
Yeah. It's basically like Mary Clayton in the style of the 80s Pointer Sisters. And she's getting all dolled up. And yeah, it is that moment where you're like, this is not a 60s song at all. Like,
no. Yeah, absolutely not. Have you watched the those movies that made us, that Netflix series that kind of goes into these 80s movies?
I haven't, but every time I see it, I think of you guys, if that's any consolation.
Sure.
Well, yeah, half of the title.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that I think that we had that.
We were first.
I think that we were first.
No, I think you were too. I just want to tell you. Put me on the record.
So, the Dirty Dancing episode is very interesting because I wasn't really aware of the circumstances that got this movie made. And really the idea that this is a really super, super independent movie.
It was not produced by a major studio. I think that they shopped it around to Universal and Warner and Columbia, and everyone said no, and they landed on Vestron?
Vestron Pictures.
Yeah.
Vestron Pictures was a distributor of like VHS. Like they would put movies onto VHS tapes and distribute those to like rental, like Blockbuster videos and stuff. So wild that this is now like they're making movies,
and this doesn't look like a cheaply made movie.
No way, it looks great. I feel like it looks like totally normal studio movie.
Oh yeah, that is the weirdest part for me, because I feel like this movie, it did feel, well, you know, maybe I don't really have the nuance to know. I did not have the nuance to know about video distributors in 1987.
No, right.
However, it did feel like, I remember when they were promoting the movie, and I kept thinking, like, this is something adult because it has dirty in the title, Dirty Dancing.
Right.
And then there was a moment, like a gap between hearing about it and then seeing it, and seeing like all of people my age watching it. And I feel like that has to do something with like the distribution part of it, which is that maybe it was like an independent film, and when it was when it was being promoted, it was sort of still like an unknown, how do we do this type of thing. And then eventually it was everywhere. And I just think that's a very interesting concept, because, you know, now knowing what I know now about the movie business, for whatever I do know about it, you know, it's just an interesting little tidbit, you know?
Yeah. It was the first movie to sell over 1 million copies for home video.
Yeah. See, another, it was like a big home video thing. It's interesting.
Yeah. That's where I saw it. I didn't see it in the theater.
Yeah.
I was 9. I'm not going to.
And it's one of those things that if they wouldn't have had this small production house, would we have gotten something like the abortion subplot that gets Baby to dancing?
Totally.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I could see like a major studio being like, I don't care how you get Jennifer Grey to dirty dance, but you can't do it that way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It would have been like a completely different film in a lot of ways, I think, if they really had this like big studio thing, and the studios were aware of like how they could promote it to make it be this big trendy thing that's like gonna capture the zeitgeist. They wouldn't have had that, right?
Well, I'd imagine that we probably have a movie like Flashdance to thank of how a movie like this ended up getting made, because Flashdance had a huge moment in the early 80s.
Yeah. And Footloose.
And Footloose. And Jennifer Grey, she talks on the Blu-ray how close she was to getting Flashdance. Like it was between her and Jennifer Beals.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Which I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's crazy. I want to talk a little bit about the writer of this movie, Eleanor Bergstein. This woman,
she's a pretty kooky lady,
is amazing. How much control she had over this script.
Yeah.
Like the casting, all of it. And how it's like, I love the fact that, you know, in interviews and things, and in, you know, in the movies that made us and in the interviews on the Blu-ray, she's very much like, I'm not Baby Houseman, but aren't I? She's like, I am not Baby Houseman, huge wink, you know. And you just get the idea that she would go to these Catskills, you know, resorts with her family as a kid, and just had this experience of
making friends with the staff.
Yeah, making friends with the staff and just being like, I'm kind of too cool for, you know, doing the foxtrot and the bunny hop with my parents. I'm going to go and figure out, you know, what's really going on, and that's where the parties are. And it kind of leads me to think that, like, so this concept of dirty dancing, right? Like I said, it's not really the point of the movie. It's just something that Baby sees the staff doing when they're not working. This staff of hundreds that are all just on a break. Like, what's going on?
No, who is doing the bunny and the foxtrot?
Who's watching the store?
Yeah.
Because she leaves the main hall in the middle of like a big like event the very first time, you know, she goes, and it's like this dance hall, and it's like full of these young kids, and they're all dancing very sexually with each other. And I just think this is my, like, I just came up with this last night. I'm thinking, okay, maybe this happened to her. You know, she lived this life. She goes and sees them all dancing, kind of like, you know, suggestively, provocatively. But I don't think that dirty dancing as a concept was ever like a thing. You know what I mean? I don't think kids were like, we're going to learn how to dirty dance. It was just,
we got to go sneak out of our house and put on our black cha-cha heels and go dirty dancing.
Yeah, she just saw this thing, was fascinated by it, and was just like, I'm going to name it, and it's going to become this phenomenon, which didn't really kind of exist. It was just a party that she went to.
Yeah. Yeah, it isn't a dance as the lambada is. It isn't like, the Macarena. It's basically just sort of like, it's just kind of like people grinding on each other.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Or freaking, as we called it in my day.
Freaking.
I love that we always have to go back to lambada because that was a copycat.
Oh, sure.
Right? That was totally
And the lambada movie has the tardy housewife. Right?
The woman who is who's like in love with Patrick Swayze in this movie.
Oh, yeah. She's a choreographer, right?
Yeah, of lambada. Well, actually, there were 2 lambada movies. There were like competing lambada
dueling.
movies.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that drama.
I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I remember my sister and I went to go see Beetlejuice, and it ended, and our parents were seeing another movie. And so Beetlejuice ended first because their movie was longer, and we're like, what should we do? And we just walked into like the end of lambada.
Yeah.
And we were like, what is this?
That sounds like a canon movie. It sounds like something that the Cannons would have done.
The Forbidden Dance.
See, that's what I was thinking. Like, I think that when I saw the Canon Films documentary, I feel like that was a part of it, where they were talking about how they wanted to make a competing lambada movie or something like that. And and so I'm like, oh yeah, like there's definitely like people trying to. That was, at least at the time, these people cognizant of what this thing could be. Whereas you're right, with Dirty Dancing, it just felt kind of like, well, what is this? Like, is there going to be like Dirty Dancing class at like the gym now? Like, what's happening?
Oh man, that would have been amazing if like aerobic studios started teaching Dirty Dancing classes.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, you know what's so funny about her name is Eleanor Bergstein. Is that her name? The writer? Okay.
Yes.
So, I think it was like last year or something, I went to the New Beverly and I saw that movie, It's My Turn. Have you seen this movie?
No.
It's My Turn, no.
So basically it is another Eleanor Bergstein movie that apparently there was some kind of relation to Dirty Dancing. But it stars Jill Clayburgh and Michael Douglas. And it is like... seriously, one of the most one of the strangest movies I think I've ever seen, and I feel like Claudia Weil, is that her name? She directed Girlfriends. I think she directed the movie, but it's from an Eleanor Bergstein script.
Okay, sure.
And it's basically this weird thing where like Jill Clayburgh is like in a relationship with Charles Grodin, but then she meets Michael Douglas, and Michael Douglas is so
1980s Michael Douglas,
cute,
yeah,
so cute in it, because I had only really seen Michael Douglas as like an erotic thriller guy from the 90s. That when I was like, oh my god, he's got a beard and he's a baseball player, and I was kind of like crushing on him the whole movie. But it's such a I don't mean strange as in plot wise. It's more just sort of like I'm like, I never heard of it. Why haven't I seen it? Why hasn't it's affiliated with Dirty Dancing somehow? And how come I've never heard of it? But anyway, if you can find it, you should watch it. It's interesting.
That's so interesting. Okay, Claudia Will. Yeah, she directed Girlfriends, my favorite movie. Scott, I was watching Girlfriends on television.
I think it was on TCM.
I think it was on TCM.
Yeah.
And Scott walked in and he was like, "What are you watching?" And I was like, "I don't know, just this movie I had never even heard of it." And it was fascinating.
Yeah.
It was like very interesting, little character study. I remembered the lead actress from 30 something.
Yep. Melanie Mayron.
Melanie Mayron, that was again something that as a kid, zero business watching 30 something.
I know.
What am I doing invested in these characters?
Oh my god, I think of that all the time.
Yeah, it's just something that is, why did certain kinds of kids just were obsessed with these really grown-up topics? So interesting.
Oh my god, you basically hit the nail on the head for me. I was obsessed with grown-up things. I just wanted to know.
Yeah.
I wanted the information. And so I was always watching things that were just like above my age level, and like anything to do with adult stuff, like Barbara Streisand, like 30 something, like everything. And I mean, that's, I think, ultimately what made Dirty Dancing seem like super exciting. The weirdest part is that it felt like it was for adults, but then I also felt that it was for me, because I was like, well, Jennifer Grey's like, I don't know, like she's a young character, maybe. I don't know.
She's kind of your surrogate every girl.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that was my question, as we're watching it last night, to prepare. The family, the Houseman family. So we have Jerry Orbach and the mom from the Gilmore Girls, Kelly Bishop, as the parents. Poor Kelly Bishop. She had 4 lines in this entire movie.
Yeah.
And she looked fantastic. I was like, come
I
on.
was just going to say that. In the final farewell, dance party, this dress that she's in, she looks amazing.
Yeah.
Right? And so, it's the Houseman family. They've got their 2 daughters, Frances, who everybody calls Baby. And the very first line, this voiceover...
That was the summer of 1963, when everybody called me baby, and it didn't occur to me to mind.
This line, I was like, oh man, that is such a screen written, no one would ever say that out loud. Such a diary line. But yeah, the whole idea is that everybody calls her baby because she's the youngest, whatever. It's kind of unclear how old she is, but then they do say later on that she's starting up at college.
Yeah, Mount Holyoke or something
Mount
like that.
Holyoke,
Yeah.
yes.
Totally.
Baby is?
Baby, yeah.
Sure.
So she'll be starting college next year in her preparation to join the Peace Corps.
Sure.
Which I love.
And I like that she's a woke teenager of the early 60s.
Absolutely. Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. She was way into it before, the flower power.
Mm-hmm.
So Jennifer Grey playing Baby Houseman 17, 18, right? Since she's going to Mount Holyoke next year. Jennifer Grey fully 28 years old.
Sure.
And she makes this movie. Love it.
Yeah.
But I think she kind of...
I think it works.
Yeah, she's giving me late teens.
Yeah.
I'm buying it.
She's like a Tobey Maguire type, can play much younger.
Yes. I was buying it then as a kid. I'm buying it now.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
on
On the special features, she talked about going to Studio 54 when she was a teenager with her boyfriend. So it's she had sort of
How old are you?
had lived the Hollywood life prior to this movie.
I mean, her father's Joel Grey. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think she probably had access to a lot of cool shit because of her dad.
Yeah. Aunt Liza.
Yeah.
Totally.
It's a Hanukkah gift from Liza every year.
That would be kind of amazing if you're just talking to Aunt Liza and she's just come with me to Studio 54, you'll love it, and you're okay. Oh man, that's
she had
wild.
previously made Red Dawn with Swayze.
Yeah.
So they had sort of a working relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of love this Hollywood legend that they just didn't like each other.
Yeah, I was very unclear about that. I was actually trying to do some research about it once, where I was why do they hate each other? Now I gotta know.
And which was it? Her that didn't like him, or was it the other way around? What was the thing?
I think that there was probably a moment on the set of Red Dawn where they probably yelled at each other, and that was probably it. She mentions that Billy Zane was very, very close to getting Johnny.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But Billy Zane, not a trained dancer.
Yes.
When I read that the director was very adamant on having as many trained dancers as possible so that they wouldn't have to resort to dance doubles.
They
flash dance.
I'm going to tell you right now, the backup dancers in Dirty Dancing are some of my absolute faves.
Yes.
There's a girl, speaking of Liza, there's a girl that's one of the back dancers that has short hair, dark. Oh.
Killing it. She is on fire every moment she's on screen.
Putting some extra stank on everything that she does.
Absolutely. And she is front and center in that last dance towards the camera. I can't even. I'm so glad that you brought her up. She is absolutely the best. And I mean, Penny, Cynthia Rhodes as Penny. Oh my
so
goodness
good.
gracious.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Literally a living Barbie doll. She had that most beautiful, she was tall and incredibly thin, and that part at the I guess when Baby first, when she carries the watermelon and she appears, and where she's wearing that Penny's wearing that red dress, and then her leg goes super far up in the air. I was like, oh my God, she's incredible. She's like a Barbie doll. It's amazing.
Yeah. Absolutely. And she just has that dancer physique.
Totally.
You're just whoa. So good.
Goes well with Patrick's teeny little waist.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, Patrick Swayze, he talks about not wanting to do this movie. He had kind of no dancing in a lot of his, like, resume, CV stuff early on in his career because he didn't want to kind of fall back into that, like, well, I come from the dancing world thing. And, I mean, God bless him for kind of agreeing to be in this, but he's so good. And I feel like Patrick Swayze pretty unproblematic, right? Like,
by and large. I mean, I saw that. Yeah. Did you guys see that documentary that they made about him?
No, I didn't see the full thing.
Yeah, I don't remember where. I think it was like on some kind of cable channel. Mm-hmm. I cried, by the way. When I watched that, I cried many times. And I honestly think that he might be cool. He was okay. Like, I don't know. Again, I don't know everything, but based on what
we know,
he seems to be okay.
Yeah, 57 when he passed away.
Oh, so sad.
That's insane.
And also just this Renaissance man that was just good at everything.
Yeah, that was the part of the documentary that made me insane, because I was like, oh, he was this, like, he played football or something, or he was like a sports guy, but he was a dancer. He was kind of like the jack of all trades. Like, he was like macho sportsman dude, but also was in dance and didn't care. He didn't seem like he cared. That he wasn't one of those straight guys that's like, oh, I don't like dancing because it's too feminine or whatever.
Right.
He was kind of like a Renaissance man. I mean, it's amazing. Love him.
Yeah. Especially the type of, like, that ballroom type of dancing. It's extremely, like, the kind of, moves and shapes your body has to go into. Like, I feel like some straight men can watch that and be like, oh my goodness, this is way too feminine.
Yeah.
The way the men have to, like, contort their bodies.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's freaking Patrick Swayze, man.
Yeah.
But so this movie is about, the housemans that go to the Kellerman Resort. Is it the Kellerman Resort? Mm-hmm. I'm assuming it's in the Pennsylvania.
The Catskills.
Right?
Catskills.
Yeah. And, I mean, if you watched The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, there was a whole, like, multi-episode arc where they went to a very similar type of thing. And I'm just guessing in the early part to the middle part of the 20th century, this was just a big kind of location and vacation spot for a certain cast of of the population who could afford it.
Yeah,
because it seems to be all inclusive, kind of cruise like.
Yeah, there was activities. I mean, I guess it's kind of like what I was wondering about if you guys had gone to something like this, because I remember going on family vacation and I remember going somewhere for like maybe a week at the most. Mm-hmm. This felt like we're packing up for like a month or two, going into the mountains. Mm-hmm. There's like activities. There's like a talent show. Like, I've never done anything where I was on vacation and was in a talent show.
No. There's a wig clinic.
Yeah.
The wig clinic.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to that.
Yeah. On Mrs. Maisel, I think they went for 2 months.
Wow.
And that's the thing. It's like, it's these affluent, Jewish families, most likely in New York City that did it. And it was part of, at that time, part of culture, and part of culture now, with any kind of ethnic, background. Yeah. It's that if you're not married, or even if you are married, you're still very tight with your family.
Yeah.
And there's this kind of idea of like, well, if you're not married yet, then you're still going to be living at home.
Yeah.
Because why are you going to move out?
Right. No reason.
Why waste your money and live by yourself? Just stay home. So the whole family would just pack up and go. I don't know enough about, this type of, all I know is from Dirty Dancing and Mrs. Maisel. So maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but this is what we gleaned, right?
Yeah.
It seems kind of like, as a kid, I'd be into it. As someone baby's age or older, maybe not so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would have, I never went anywhere long enough for me to develop a summer romance with someone at the same place. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, to me, there's a lot of hijinks that baby gets into. Like, there's she is performing at another hotel. She has to learn a dance routine. And that's why I was beginning to be like, damn, how long are they at this place? They must have literally packed it up for months, you know?
Well, that's what's unclear to me because so Baby goes to, she goes to this resort. She's not kind of happy with the, family style activities, sneaks away off to the cast or crew quarters, as, we talked about this weird, crazy dance party. Mm-hmm. And she gets involved with a group of people that are part of the, the dance instruction, which is Johnny Castle and Penny Johnson, his dance partner. Mm-hmm. They're like the two, like the male and female leads of like the dance company. They teach everybody how to dance. They just showed up and did this crazy, like, I don't know, cha-cha or merengue or whatever on the main dance floor. And everybody was like, losing their minds. Yeah. It was pretty amazing, actually, what they did.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, we have to just, long story short, Penny, we find out, is quote unquote in trouble, knocked up, And when Baby finds out, Baby's also being courted by the nephew of the man who owns the resort. And he's so
this
gross.
Dork.
Oh, the worst. That fucker.
He's awful. That fucker. So he's like, trying to show her around, blah, blah, blah. And they run into Penny, who's like, this is when I have lots of questions, starting from here, moving forward.
Yeah.
Because, okay, when they're in the kitchen and they find Penny and she's kind of like crumpled on the ground, crying, she's all distraught. So then Baby's like, oh shit, that's like Penny, like I know her, like she's the cool kids. So I'm going to go and tell them. So she goes and she runs and tells Billy, which is Johnny Castle's cousin, mm-hmm. who also works there. We get Johnny, and we're like running to go find Penny. And this whole time, Johnny's got this attitude of like, what's she doing here? Like, she's a guest. We're not supposed to hang out with them.
Yeah.
We could get in trouble. She can get in trouble. It's a whole deal. But Billy, he's like, oh, well, Penny's knocked up. So they know, right? They already know at this point that Penny's pregnant. So. But then Penny's like sitting crumpled up crying. What happened? Like, why is she now like, do you know what I mean? It's like if she would have like found out that she's pregnant, then like lost her shit and then told them like, you guys, I'm knocked up. That would have made sense. But I just don't understand why she's sitting there crying by herself if everybody already knows.
Yeah, hard to say. I mean, I think it's revealed at some point that the guy that knocked her up was the asshole waiter that loves the fountainhead or whatever. Yeah. The like libertarian dude. And he is kind of just like, fuck her. Like, doesn't want to deal with Penny. Doesn't want to deal with the baby.
Maybe that's it. Maybe she went to go talk to him.
Yeah.
And he was just like, no, I'm not going to pay for your abortion. Figure it out. And that's why she...
Yeah.
Is crumpled.
I mean, I can only guess, right? Because that is a big question, to be honest, is if everybody already knew. And by the way, I have to say, when I was a kid, I had literally no idea what was going on.
Sure.
I assumed she had a stomach ache.
Yeah.
Or something, and that the doctor was going to give her some kind of, maybe her gallbladder exploded. I don't know. I didn't know it was that. I thought she just...
some kind of a disease, because they only ever say like she's in trouble, who's responsible for her, they say that 60s kind of language. Yeah. So us as kids, I was just like, she must be sick.
Yeah, must be sick. She doesn't want to miss work, and that is the biggest, the biggest deal.
So the whole like convoluted plot point is that she has to get this quickie abortion. The doctor is only available on Thursday, but they have a big show on Thursday at another resort. And if they don't do that show, then
she can't miss it.
They're going to lose their contract for next year. They're going to lose their contract at that resort. They're going to lose all this money. So they have to perform, and she has to get her quickie abortion on the same day. So what are we going to do? And Baby's like, I'll do it. And this is the whole, like, sets everything in motion moving forward.
Right.
I don't know that I would be able to learn this dance in.
And they
How
assume
long?
a lot about her talent, because this is the thing that I was like, really? I mean, so Billy, who is the cousin, Johnny Castle's cousin, who, by the way, is hot as hell. I'm like, can we see a little bit more of him?
Yeah.
So Baby offers to do it, and Billy backs it up 100%. He's like, well, it's not a terrible idea. She can move. I'm like, what made you think that she could move?
Can she?
You know? Is that one awkward dance that she did? Like, that looked like shit. I don't know.
The first night,
I wouldn't have been like, yes, she can perform at a professional dancer's level for this professional dancer at another hotel.
Yeah.
So, to me, I was always like, wow, they are putting a lot. This, like, all the chips are all in with this girl.
Yeah, totally.
You know?
Yeah, I think it had to be just from that one, like, 2-minute, like, one song, like, lap dance that Johnny was just like, come over here, I'm going to show you this move. And, like, yeah, they just kind of, like, swayed side to side, and he was, like, freaking on her. And that was it.
I mean, I feel like we're also glossing past that Baby just gets $200 for the abortion from her dad. Could you have done that at like the age of 18? Just go borrow money for your parents, for your not even a friend, an acquaintance's abortion. Whew.
First of all, the dad was like absolutely sure, like no problem.
Yeah,
you know,
no questions.
He was just like, "What's it for?" She's like, "I can't tell you. I love you."
Even better.
Are you joking? If I went now in 2021, if I went into the other room and asked my mom and dad for $200, they'd be like, "What?"
Yeah.
And like, I'm not gonna even tell you. I'll just be like, "I can't tell you," and they'll be like, "Absolutely not. Get out of here." You know.
Yeah. So, and also $200 in 1962 or whatever.
Oh, she might as well be asking for $1,000.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. Well, first Baby goes to the gross waiter that knocks her up. And you talked about a little bit about the class struggle within this movie. Yeah. And it's very interesting because Baby and her family are they're guests of this resort. And so obviously the father's a doctor, he's a surgeon. Mm-hmm. They're well off enough to be able to pay for this all-inclusive activity. Then there's like the staff of the dancers who are like way at the bottom. Mm-hmm. But in the middle are like the wait staff, because that gross waiter is like going to Yale or something.
Yeah, he kept saying like, what's that classic Johnny Castle line? It was like, keep putting your pickle on everyone's plate, college boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which made me wonder. I was like, oh, there seems to be almost this kind of like weird caste system at this resort where, if you're a waiter, you're probably like a guy that's professional or and then if you're a greasy rockabilly guy, you're carrying watermelons and, teaching people dance moves. And so that to me is super interesting about, the differences.
Mm-hmm. So she goes up to the waiter, and Baby is like trying to convince him like, hey, you need to pay for this. Mm-hmm. So Baby's kind of given this, I don't know, is she a Mary Sue? She's trying to solve everybody's problems.
Yeah.
And that's when he's just like, some people count and some people don't. And hands her the fountainhead. Like, oh my God. Which, again, as a child,
no idea.
Zero. Like,
yeah.
Okay, he's giving her a book.
Yep.
Just telling her to bone up on her on her summer reading.
Yeah.
At that point, Baby goes to her father, who just blindly says, sure, take this money. It's interesting, the scene when she does go to them and is like, hey, I got this money for you. And Penny kind of turns it down initially.
Yeah.
Like, oh no. Because I'm kind of thinking like, from their point of view is like, she's a guest here. She shouldn't be hanging out with us. She's this rich kid. Like, we're here working, trying to, make a buck and, provide for the next year, the off season, because Johnny talks about eating jujubes, in the off season because he's so poor.
I know.
And all of that. I kind of feel like I'd be like, yeah, I need it, but okay, maybe I'd question it and then grab the money.
Sure.
Thanks, kid.
Because at first Johnny's like, oh, where'd you get that? Your daddy. But then when Penny says no, he's like, dude, no, take it.
Yeah, he's basically that's a very interesting moment for me, is when he's basically like, what are you, nuts? Don't turn this money down. Which means that he sort of is like not caring about where it comes from. Which is an interesting component to his character, because after a while you find out a little bit more about sort of like what he's been doing at the resort with all these other women. But then, the idea that he kind of, he's always like establishing this idea that these are like working class people, and that, they aren't the guests. They are like, the guests have all the, privileges in the world, and their parents are obviously like doctors and stuff. And, they're basically like always saying like, we're the poor kids, and, we have to like keep ourselves away from them because the other people are, it's a very like interesting kind of dynamic, like a worker, sort of thing almost,
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, the real reason we all watched this was like the montage of her like learning this dance.
Oh yeah, so good.
Hungry Eyes, am I right?
Hungry Eyes, yeah.
I've been listening to it on repeat the entire week.
It's a magical song. I love it.
Written by the same songwriters who wrote "Time of Your Life."
Oh,
interesting.
That makes complete sense.
And did they write "Up Where We Belong" from "Officer and a Gentleman"?
Wait, or did Diane Warren write that?
Oh, I don't remember.
It's just because Jennifer Warnes, who sings the female lead in Time of Your Life or whatever, she also sang on this.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, Up Where We Belong.
I swear to you, like, I will be 90 years old if I make it to that age. Every time it goes from the gugunk part where he's basically doing the whole shit where he's just like, it's a feeling, it's a heartbeat, that crap. And then it slowly starts into the song. Like, it's like the gugunk part goes right into Hungry Eyes. I flip out.
Not on the one. It's not the mambo. It's a feeling, a heartbeat. Gugunk. 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 Don't try so hard. Gugong. Gugong. Close your eyes.
Like, my heart doesn't flip. And it will be, I will always do this for the rest of my life. Every time I see this movie. I mean, again, I've seen it 30 or more times, and it just, because then I know what's happening. Because then it moves into the montage.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some really good stuff there with the with the sound, putting Time of Your Life like into the score, like a piano, piano. Or reprise or whatever it's called, interlude or whatever. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. But yeah, all that stuff when they're he's like trying to teach her the moves, and he's just like this bad boy, dance instructor. There's some really good stuff in there. I mean, I also love the little tidbit. I'm sure like everybody knows this, but those scenes where he's behind her, she's in front, and he's doing the thing with the hand from like the poster, and she keeps laughing. Yeah. And he's getting all pissed, and how that's like real. Yeah. And they were just like, all right, it's going in.
Yeah, and after learning that it was real, like when you see that, like when you see his face, it's just like,
looking off.
I hate this movie so much.
Yeah.
Of her trying to do the lift, and you can kind of tell on Patrick Swayze's face that he's getting really annoyed. That she's not doing it. So good.
My favorite part is the part where it's the three of them, where basically it's the whole like locking in the frame thing, where like Baby and Johnny have their, and then like Penny's behind. I mean, I am like,
great
magic, movie magic.
Yes, Absolutely. And Penny and like the dance like rehearsal numbers, you know, the like leotards and like all this stuff. Oh my goodness, I can't stop looking at her.
I also like with Penny's character that it never goes into jealous partner or girlfriend territory. I like that they're both supporting each other. I'm always a huge sucker for that in movies.
Me too.
Or like women there for each other. And Penny like wants to see baby succeed. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm assuming if they get paid for this dance thing that Penny's probably getting a cut.
Sure.
Yeah.
But okay, so my big question is, the whole thing is the doctor. He can only see her on Thursday. So it's got to be Thursday. And Thursday is the dance at the other club, right? Mm-hmm. So which Thursday? Next Thursday?
2 weeks. 2 weeks from this Thursday?
Because all that whole montage, was that like a long weekend? Like,
oh God, to me, it was a little TBD because I was like, it seemed like there were multiple setups. So there basically were multiple training sessions. Now, if they're, you know, he does the whole like everybody works around here type of speech to her. I'm like, okay, so honestly, is this happening? Do they hammer it out in a weekend like you suggested? Yeah. Or is this like 2 months later? Like what's happening? Who knows?
Because the whole thing is that Penny's got to go see this quack, you know, and then this is like the big thing. They finally go. I do love the final performance because it's like all this practice, all this like drama, and then it's like spotlight in her face and she freezes.
Yeah.
She does that thing where she's like doing her thumbs, like, you know.
Mm-hmm. She couldn't do the lift, so she just like does the hand jive from Grease instead.
Yeah, but you know what? The audience, they cut to the audience and they're eating
it up. They don't care.
You know, they're eating it up. You just see a flourish of that skirt and they just applause break.
You know, if I was on a cruise like club in the Catskills and I saw the two of them, I'd think that they were fantastic. I'd be like, I don't know, was that technically supposed to happen? Who knows?
Right? Who knows? Because Patrick Swayze's so good. Like he's good and professional, obviously. So you're like, oh, okay, they must be pros. Maybe it's this girl's first day. Yeah. I love when they're driving back and she's changing in the back of the car and he kind of like sneaks a look. And you're like, uh-oh. The car, which continuity, he broke that back window with that post. And that hole in the back window stays there the whole time. I was like, all right.
Good for them.
Good job.
I always die when they're going out to the fallen tree and you see, obviously they didn't have Jennifer that day on set, and you see a stand-in with a giant wig in the back of the car. Have you ever seen that shot?
No.
Oh my God. They're driving out to the tree and you can see there's a woman that's being Jennifer stand-in, and she has this gigantic frizzy wig.
It's like a Rosanna like Gilda Radner.
Oh my God.
It's out to her shoulders.
Look for it. We'll post a photo of it on Instagram.
I feel like you just told me like a 3 Men and a Baby thing. Like I'm like ghost. I've never seen this. This is amazing.
And it's quite clearly the stand-in. Yeah.
Oh my God. Amazing.
It's fully Gilda Radner, like giant hair out to her shoulders. It's so funny. But yeah, I love the actual dance performance at the club. But yeah, when we get back, it's like Penny is on her deathbed.
Oh yeah,
like this is some like bad shit.
Gosh.
And so now after Baby has asked for this mysterious $250, and the dad was just like, sure. She goes and wakes him up in the middle of the night,
and she doesn't even like pause. Like she just bolts out of the cabin and goes.
Yeah, she doesn't.
And goes to her parents' room.
Like, I'm going to go get my dad. She just leaves. And again, the dad's just like, what's the matter? Is your sister okay? Like, are you okay? And she's like, yeah, we're fine. You just got to come with me. He's like, sure. And she grabs that old 50s, like, leather medical bag and, like, takes off. Now, the dad, I mean, yeah, he's like, you know, it's the middle of the 20th century. He's a surgeon. He has certain ideas of like, I don't know. He's just like, who's responsible for this girl? And when Johnny's just like, I mean, I guess it's me. everybody has this like honor code there.
Yes.
Like Johnny was never going to be like, because what's he going to say? Like, well, like I'm her best friend. He can't explain the whole story.
But somebody else knocked her up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although it is that thing where I'm like, maybe you should have, though, because it would have cleared up a lot for you later. You know, I mean, at the same time, I would have been like, well, I'm responsible for her in the sense that I take care of her, but I certainly didn't do this. This isn't my thing. In fact, the guy who did it is the Fountainhead guy. Go after him.
Your waiter.
Yeah.
So I was assuming, because I have actually been on a cruise or two with my family. Not like long week or month-long cruises. Just like the turnaround 4-day cruises.
Going to Catalina.
Going to, Baja, whatever. And in that situation, you get like the one waiter who's your waiter the whole time. And they're supposed to like remember your name and all that. Remember your order and all that, so they get a big tip. So I'm assuming it's kind of the same thing. Yeah. With the situation.
Absolutely. And of course there's probably this sort of like weird nepotism of, like, oh, the waiters are like, it's like a fast track to whatever is happening in the city. Because obviously like with the Kellermans, it seems kind of like a family. I mean, it's almost like what, Max Kellerman, I think that's his name, the older guy who runs it. He seems to know everybody, and he's like, his doctor, like Baby's dad is his doctor. So it feels like you're on a fast track by being a waiter there.
Yeah, just making lots of connections.
Yeah. And it's so funny that you mentioned about being on a cruise, because that was the one thing too that I went on this cruise once when I was in high school, and I went on it was a chorus trip. I was in chorus when I was in high school. And we went to perform on, like, it was a real shitball, like Bahamas, small boat. Not even like a cruise line that anybody would know, like a Carnival.
Sure.
It was like real shitball, like 3-day cruise. And there was 2 or 3 of my friends that were in chorus. We were kind of like, I don't know if we were the bad kids. It felt like we were. We heard that there was a staff disco, like on the boat. And there usually is. There's usually like an entire level of the boat where it's just like where the staff hang out and they all like have romances with each other. It feels very much like this.
Oh, yeah.
And we actually got to go in it. And basically, I mean, they would never allow this on like another boat, but basically, like on our shitball cruise, they were basically like, "Oh yeah, these teenagers want to come to this to the staff disco," and we went, and it was like, basically a bunch of like Europeans. It was like a bunch of Swedish girls and guys from Germany and stuff, and it was like that. It felt like a European disco. And that's about
even better.
I know, and that's about the closest that I ever felt to the Kellerman's vibe of like what's behind the curtains. You know what I mean?
Were they dirty dancing?
No, not really. And that would have blown my mind if they were, but I could only wish.
But is it after this like emotional evening of like Penny being kind of like brought back from death's door that Baby and Johnny finally do it?
Yeah.
Is it this night?
So I think it's interesting that there isn't a big deal made about them, I mean, having sex. Like, you don't see like a big, like, I'm about to lose my virginity. Baby just does it. So it makes me kind of wonder, like, was Baby a virgin going there? You don't really know. Like, the movie doesn't make a big deal of it, which I think is really interesting.
Well, also because they specifically do make a big deal of it with her sister.
Yeah.
The sister's like, I'm gonna go out with, the waiter, like, tonight's the night. And like, so the sister's like making this huge deal, but Baby and Johnny just do it. And it's not like, but I mean, maybe the sister is a little bit more of a square, I guess.
Yeah.
A little bit more of like rule follower and all that. So that's her being like a bad girl. So maybe that's just to contrast the two of them.
But there was this moment where I did say, like, Baby has suddenly got the courage to, like, she goes to his little cabin or whatever.
Yeah.
And, oh my gosh, his cabin that he lives at by himself.
Oof. a man's cabin, like the man's cabin, where he was sitting around with black dance pants, no shirt on.
No shirt.
They absolutely needed to show his chest the entire movie. Like, they definitely knew what they were doing there. And she just kind of comes in and starts, like, you know, basically doing the whole thing. I'm never gonna feel the way I feel when I'm with you my entire life or whatever. And then she's like, will you dance with me type of stuff. And I'm like, she went from 0 to 100 with this confidence. Like, she was really meek and now suddenly she's gone, you know?
Yeah, it's true. It was a heavy night, man. There was a lot of shit. A lot of shit went down. She, like, danced on stage. She, like, saved a girl's life. Like,
she's scared of what she saw. She's scared of who she is.
Yeah.
That is it.
Yeah. I feel like this, like, the ideas in this movie, too, for me as a kid, I think a lot of it was, like, Johnny and Penny and Billy and the staff were, like, the cool kids. And Baby's the outsider, you know? And her getting to break in, even facing resistance from them at first, and then actually becoming part of the group. And Penny being very resistant to her at first, and then Penny coming around and liking her, you know, even more so than Johnny. I feel like Penny's kind of like affirmation to me is the one that I'm like, well, I want her to like me more. Yeah. That's something that as a kid I was really like latching onto. That idea of the cool, edgy group accepting me as like this nerdy outsider or square or whatever.
And we can all relate to that in high school.
Yeah.
When you want to be friends with the cool group.
I think that's the thing that really got me in.
I like to think that I'm the baby, but I'm probably just the Lisa. I'm probably the sister.
No way, the sister's so mean.
Doing like her little like hula dance for the talent show.
Again, questions abound. The talent show. We don't see the sister perform her actual song, but we do get to see her sing in like the staff's farewell song. Why is the sister singing with all the waiters and Max Kellerman and the weird Jackie O lookalike lady? That doesn't make no kind of sense to me.
Yeah, and then it was like, who else is in the talent show besides Lisa? I don't know if I ever saw. And I'm sorry, there was Newman from Seinfeld.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I feel like Newman worked there.
Yeah.
Newman's like an announcer.
Yeah, Newman was he was like calling the activities throughout the day. Mm-hmm. We should talk a little bit about Johnny, you know, getting fired in this subplot with the old couple.
Oh yeah.
The kleptomaniac old couple. I can't with the kleptomaniac old couple. Like, it's so weird.
This woman is like 95 years old.
Nicking wallets.
Stealing wallets.
Left and right.
They, like, poor Johnny Castle, getting set up left and right. His character assassinated left and right by,
I'm telling you
know, this fountainhead waiter, this klepto old couple. And, you know, it was just that thing where, like, they made a fortune, apparently. They were stealing people's wallets. And they looked like they were on the brink of death. I'm just saying, like, impressive at their age. To be
what are they going to do with all this money?
Schumacher, this actress was born in 1897.
Holy shit.
She died in 94 at the age of 96.
Oh my god.
I mean, if you can be a elderly grifter, if you can do it at that age, God bless you.
More power to you.
Yeah. There's also the Vivian Pressman, who is the very like oversexed cha-cha lady, who is slipping diamonds into Johnny's pockets.
Okay.
Does he mean actual diamonds?
I got a legit question. Okay. Have you ever been paid in diamonds for anything?
Or any kind of jewel? Or
no, I mean, no, not recently. I kind of wish I was, though.
I'm like, I guess the move is that you get paid in diamonds and then you take it to a diamond person to have it appraised, and then sell it to a jewelry shop, or I don't know who buys it. Pawn shop.
Maybe a jeweler would just buy a loose diamond that someone paid you.
It just seems like if you're gonna pay, like I'd rather you might as well give me a sack of pennies. I'd rather just deal with that than deal with a diamond that I need to go get
the legwork.
You know,
the legwork that's involved now with the loose diamonds.
Let alone in a giant like neck piece or whatever.
Right. A tennis bracelet, maybe. I don't know.
Also, Vivian Pressman is the kind of woman who calls people lover.
Lover. Oh, no. No, thank you. I mean, she looks great. She's got like this updo. She's like this black hair. Like, she looks awesome.
Yeah.
The husband. Okay, so Vivian's whole deal is that she is at Kellerman's all summer, and her husband only comes on the weekends because he works.
Right.
So I'm like, that's fascinating.
Yes.
So Monday through Friday, she's just like bone zoning, like waiters,
the staff,
doing her thing.
Here, honey, here's some money for dance class.
Then the husband comes on Friday and gives her wads of cash to just stuff in their pockets, and he fully calls over Johnny Castle and is like,
gives him a handful of cash.
I'm playing high stakes poker all weekend. Keep this broad off.
Treat her nice.
Nuts. Like, take this money.
I need you to bone my wife as much as possible.
As much as humanly possible.
I can,
because I don't want to talk to her.
I don't want to deal with her.
I don't want to look at her at all. And then Johnny, now that he's like been bagging baby, she's over painting, coconuts on the scenery, and he is just that stand-up of a dude that he's just like, sorry, I can't. So at this point, when he says, I can't even teach her lessons because I'm all booked up. So now this is pretty much affirming that, like, he's been, like, gigoloing on the side.
Yes, he's been the American.
All summer.
The Kellerman's gigolo, if you will. And there's a moment where he kind of defends himself to Baby, where he's basically like, well, if you're eating juju beads, and these people are stuffing diamonds in your pockets, like you would do a little bit, do it too, whatever. Basically, he's justifying his. I mean, I guess it's sex work. I guess that's what it is.
Yeah.
I don't really know, right? But he does have that moment where he's like, well, they obviously care about me or something. You're like, okay. Like,
well, not that much, because the minute he turns her down, she's off to the fountainhead. Moments later,
she was like, this boy's going to Yale. I better get in there right now.
Yep. I love the like archetype of the nymphomaniac housewife.
Me too. Oh God. I love it too.
So, so this sets up the whole situation where wallets are missing, Mr. Pressman, like, he had a wad of cash go missing out of his jacket.
Baby comes clean of that Johnny was with me.
I think she overshared.
Maybe a little bit.
A little bit.
She could have come up with something in the heat of the moment. Like, I just know, like, I've been hanging out with them.
We were out playing golf or something. I don't know.
Yeah, or I was taking dance lessons from him.
Dance lessons.
Sure.
Exactly. That's it. But she gives up the ghost real quick.
And that dad is,
oh my goodness,
bummed the fuck out.
Yeah.
No,
he cannot.
He has to go to the lake and sit by himself, looking out on the lake because he's so bummed.
Yeah. And they have this moment where she's just like, "Sorry, dude." Like, I don't know what to tell you. Because she's just like, hey, it happened. Like, I mean, I guess she's of age. It seems like she's graduated high school. She's probably, an adult. But I guess in the early 60s, that's not something that you want to hear from your unwed daughter.
But just the idea that he is so bummed the fuck out because she asked him for $200 to help out this girl.
Yeah.
You know? And I mean, I suppose he still thinks that Johnny Castle was the, he's going around impregnating everyone or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he should also divorce that from the idea that she was just helping some woman that he seems to be fond of. He seems to be like very nice to Penny.
Yeah.
So,
and Penny was just like, your dad was just here.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's following.
Yeah, he's following up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when they see each other out in public, he's very pleasant with her, following up. So yeah, interesting dynamic with the dad and giving her the silent treatment.
I was like, it could actually be worse, dude. Like, she could be asking for the money for her own abortion.
Yep.
But she was just helping somebody, which I don't feel like is a betrayal of this whatever you thought your daughter was. But anyway, different time. I get it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
We have to get ourselves into the third act of this movie, so I guess that sort of progresses us to the talent show.
Yeah, I mean, well, Johnny's straight up fired.
Yeah.
Because, they pin the whole, wallet situation on him. But, when Baby says he didn't do it, they figure it out that it's the old couple.
They take fingerprints off the glass.
Yeah.
How do you think they managed that in the early 60s?
Big duster.
Mentions fingerprints. I don't know about that. But they end up firing him anyway because Baby, lets the cat out of the bag that they've been having this romance, which is forbidden. So I guess the whole thing at the talent show is that guests can perform in it, the staff have a big farewell, and then at the very end, historically, Johnny Castle has the last dance at the talent show. But he's gone now. He's not going to be able to do it. I mean, straight up barges in and is just like, hey, I know I was fired. And you have every right to physically remove me right now.
He's got to come after Baby.
But, I mean, this is where we get the
famous line.
The biggest line of the movie.
Nobody puts Baby in a corner.
Is she in the corner?
She's more sitting next to a beam. It's like supporting the ceiling.
Don't put Baby near a supportive piece of wood that's holding up the roof of the structure to code.
Yeah. Maybe that line doesn't flow off the tongue. But I love when he, this whole symbolic gesture of like, because before this, Johnny goes to Baby's dad to kind of apologize and to kind of say like, thank you for what you've done. I'm sorry for everything that happened this summer, but I don't know what he's there to say, but Jerry Orbach just like interrupts him and is just like, nope, you don't get to talk. Like, you don't even get to apologize. Get the hell out of here. Kicks him out. So this is, this is Johnny's big, like, kind of moment. So he grabs Baby, takes her up onto the stage, leaves her in the middle of the stage. And then that's when he's like, I've come back from the future. I've got this single. I hope you've got a tape deck. Oh, okay. Actually, I have a 45. Okay. This is so wild. Like, there's so much going on here because it starts off time of. I always forget if it's time of our life or my life.
I've had
your life.
comma or like in parentheses. I've had in parentheses the time of my life.
All right, the time of my life.
Yep.
Got it. So this is they do the big performance from the other hotel.
Yes.
And this time she's kicking ass.
Oh yeah.
This time she's in it. She's feeling the music.
Those reaction shots. Yeah. Those reaction shots of Jennifer on the stage are so good.
She's
when the
adorable.
camera like looks right down to her.
Yeah. So they're doing the whole thing. When he jumps off the stage onto the main floor,
he does this thing. I believe it's literally right before he jumps off the stage. Does he like do this little hand kiss or like some kind of kiss? I want to say it's either a nose or a hand kiss, where basically he does this like quick little thing before he jumps off the stage. where I think he like lands a kiss somewhere on Baby. And it is so sweet that I tear up literally every time I see it.
Oh.
Again, have seen this movie 30 times. And I'm just like, that moment, I don't know if that was in the script, but if it wasn't, then it confirms everything that I've ever thought secretly about Jennifer Grey and Patrick Swayze, which is that they were actually in love with each other. And they didn't hate each other.
I mean, there's the chemistry is real in this movie. Yeah.
So good.
So when he jumps off and does this big jump with the knee in the air and lands on the ground and starts like writhing all over the place, this is when the rest of the dancers join him, and that's when we get the girl with the Pat Benatar haircut.
Liza
goodness gracious, the Liza hair. And they're all like dancing in step towards the stage.
The greatest. Simply the greatest part of the movie is when they're coming down the aisle and that girl is putting that stank on it, and like the entire, all the dancers somehow like this is the last dance, which they figured out. Okay, because this is another part where I'm kind of like, all right, Johnny Castle presumably was not there to teach them the final dance.
Right.
And somehow it weaves in his dance with Baby from the Sheldrake, which none of the other staff knew. So how did this all come together is what I want to know.
They're all that good. They've all know each other. They're just in sync with these dance movements. It's just a little quick shuffle ball change like, down the aisle. Like they all are just dancing machines.
That's my favorite. My absolute favorite part of the movie. I swear to God, my favorite part of the movie is when they come down that aisle.
Yeah, so good.
Towards Baby, who's still on the stage, right?
This is where we get the good reaction shot of Jennifer.
Yeah. And now, but now she's just standing on the stage alone. But I mean, everybody is just with their, turned around now with their backs to her because they're watching, Liza Hare and Johnny just like killing it, stomping down this runway. So the guys go up, grab Jennifer like by the arms, and do this cool like thing where they bring her down. She runs and does the lift.
They do the lift.
They do it.
Which it's a good lift. I'm sure I could never in my life ever pick up a person.
So
like
we were
that.
discussing on our Girls Just Want to Have Fun episode that SJP does the Dirty Dancing lift like 2 years before in that movie, and it's kind of a throwaway.
Oh yeah.
And not only do they do the lift in that movie, I think he like walks around with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in that position. I think he takes steps and like turns. Patrick Swayze's just granted, again, I could never in my life. But, but I'm just saying, we've watched enough Dancing with the Stars to know that he could like spin her and drop her and like do some crazy stuff.
Well, because that's the part, this is the thing that happens after the lift, is that the song is not even halfway done.
Nope, not
and
at all.
their
Not by a long
performance
shot.
is done effectively because there's not. And then it just turns into like she did the lift, then he slowly brings her down, and then everybody starts talking. Or like I don't understand like what
pulling people out of the crowd.
Everybody starts to join in.
But then people do start having weird conversations.
like everyone's apologizing to each other for the shit that they pulled. It was just that thing where I was like, okay, well, they did the lift, but then everyone is like, all right, we're done here. Songs, let's just keep the song on so that people can dance if they want to. But
and then in the like wildest, most like I don't know, it's like kind of meta bit, Johnny starts like mouthing the words to "Time of My Life," and I'm just like. How?
Well,
where would he have heard this song?
And it recalls the scene previously when they're practicing, when they're lip syncing to the words.
Well, but they're doing the I want to say like Mickey and Mallory. That's not
Sylvia and Mickey.
Sylvia and Mickey.
Yeah, Love is Strange.
Love is Strange.
How do you call you a lover boy? Oh my God! When I was so when this movie came out, this was actually maybe like the year after it came out. I was riding the bus. I think I was like in 5th or 6th grade. And they used to sing the songs, like all the girls. I don't think any of the guys participated in this. No. Who knows? But I remember all the girls on the bus used to sing the song, and I remember like the girls on my bus singing "Love Is Strange," and it would be like half the bus going Sylvia, and the other one going, "Yes, Mickey, how do you call your lover boy? Call me a lover boy." And it was just a thing where I was like, "How did this happen? Like, how does everybody now know this song?" And they know how to sing it with the double parts. So
yeah.
So
the soundtrack, man. I had that tape. I had the tape of the sound. Not only did I have the tape of the soundtrack, I had a single of "She's Like the Wind."
Oh yeah,
that I bought with my own money.
Had to.
I feel like this. I feel like the B-side of this "She's Like the Wind" single might have been Mickey and
That's
Sylvia.
probably why all those kids knew it.
That might be why.
Probably. Yeah, this soundtrack to this day, one of my favorite soundtracks from a movie.
So, and, going back to the fact that this movie was super, super independent, where the hell did they get the licensing money?
You do licensing for TCM. Like, where do they get the cash to shell out for some of those songs?
Hard to
Especially how it opens.
Hard to say. I mean, honestly, to me, everybody uses "Be My Baby" by the Ronettes now. Like, it's like in Scorsese movies and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so, I don't know. I mean, they must have cleared a bunch of stuff beforehand, because it is that thing where except for the newer stuff, most of the stuff is like you're hearing like really like "Hey Baby," that "Hey Baby" song. Mm-hmm. Even like the Contour song, the song "Do You Love Me Now That I Can Dance" or whatever. I mean, this was all like, I would assume pretty expensive. So don't know where they got the cash, especially if like you said, it was independent. So
and I know
that the writer said that the songs were like, if they couldn't get the songs, that was a deal breaker.
Oh yeah.
For her. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah, she strikes me as the type of person that like wrote specific song cues into the screenplay. But yeah, I definitely had the soundtrack. I think the full soundtrack tape might have been my sister's, and that's why I bought "She's Like the Wind," the single.
Did you also do you remember when they did more Dirty Dancing, which was like the second volume of the soundtrack? They don't do that anymore. I don't feel
that's amazing.
They do not do that. Because there were songs that weren't even on, and the soundtrack was full. It was like
chock full,
full length album, and there were still songs that were not on it. So they had to do more Dirty Dancing.
Yeah.
Do you remember for the 10th anniversary, they did a theatrical re-release of Dirty Dancing? And do you remember the whole Conan O'Brien promotion?
Oh,
of this?
sure, yeah, I remember this.
No, what?
So it started out as a bit on Conan that it's the 10-year anniversary of Dirty Dancing.
So this would have been it's summer of '97.
Yeah.
Well, it was before they actually did it. So he's like, next year is going to be the 10-year anniversary of Dirty Dancing, and we need to have this movie re-released. And it was a bit on the show, and I think he started like a letter writing campaign. For he's like, nobody talks about this movie. It's like all but forgotten, and Dirty Dancing's an American classic, and we need to get this back in theaters for its 10th anniversary. And then it worked.
Here's a copy of today's Variety. The studio sent it over with this little post-it note attached to it. It says, "You win." And look at this. Look at the headline on this huge story on the front page. I'll read it to you. "Comics Obsession lands dirty pic on big screen." Now listen to this. Listen to this. It says, Live Entertainment announced Friday it will re-release the Patrick Swayze, Jennifer Grey starrer Dirty Dancing on August 22nd.
And I think the Conan O'Brien, the bits on the show, actually got the ball started. It got the ball rolling to actually get the re-release happen. So in '97,
we have Conan O'Brien to thank, because I went to it. I went to it, and the 25th. I went to the 25th.
Oh, okay. That's awesome.
Because that wasn't that too long ago, right? That was 97.
Yeah. Did TCM do their thing where they released it in AMC's?
I don't know.
Where they show movies every month.
Maybe they did. It's been a while since I've.
Yeah, it would have been 2012, I think.
Yeah,
for the 25th.
Yeah, but listen. Any you could like dust off an old print and say it's like National Watermelon Day or something. I don't know, like or whatever, National Cha-Cha Lessons Day, and I will pay, a premium VIP price to see it in a movie theater.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think I've ever seen this in the movie theater. I know I didn't the first run, and I don't believe that I did for the 10-year anniversary. So
we were trying to find the canceled 1988 series with Melora Hardin somewhere on the internet, and we couldn't find it.
Really?
They did 11 episodes of it.
I don't remember it. Do you remember it?
I remember when it came out, but I never saw it. Never saw one.
Paul Feig's in it. Yeah. We love Paul Feig.
Yeah.
We found the intro, like the opening theme of it on YouTube. And so Melora Hardin, who played Jan on The Office, she is Baby. I'm not sure of the actor
Patrick Cassidy.
Patrick Cassidy, who plays Johnny Castle. And it, Paul Feig is in it, and from the opening credits it seems like he is like either he works at Kellerman's or is like a comedian or something. He plays like a square kind of character. But it's very interesting. Yeah, I'd be interested to see it if possible. Then there was a weird like musical television movie
in 2017 with Abigail Breslin.
Abigail Breslin. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Was it one of those things they did for like NBC or whatever? It was like a live or something?
Yeah, it was for ABC. It wasn't, and it even wasn't quite a live. It was more like a made-for-TV movie.
Wow.
That was like a remake of the 1987 movie.
But they did it as a musical.
Yeah.
They like wrote songs for it.
Wow.
Yeah. In that version, I was doing some research on that. In that version, Deborah Messing plays the mother. And I'm like, they got Deborah Messing for 3 lines, but I guess they expanded the role.
Good.
And like, and like the mom's like unhappy in the marriage and is like talking to divorce lawyers, like a whole thing. But there's a framing story in this movie that takes place in the 70s. Right. And okay, Baby has written a book about her summers at Kellerman's.
Oh boy.
And Johnny has choreographed the Broadway stage musical based on her book. And they and they reconnect at the opening. And it's just like Baby and Johnny just like, you never gave up on me, kid. And she's like, and you made something of yourself. Yeah.
That is absolutely absurd.
And the whole movie has like 12% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh
it's
God.
like
I have to see it. I have to see it.
It has like an average of a 3-star rating on IMDb.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I live.
This is our homework for this week.
Listen, I literally just found out that they made a sequel to Showgirls. And
are you talking about Pennies from Heaven?
Pennies from Heaven. I did not know this.
Yeah, I've never seen it. I remember when it was coming out.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So listen, you've given me this information. I love a 10% or 12% on Rotten Tomatoes. So I will be watching it somehow.
Yeah, look for it. It is on Amazon Prime.
And we have not seen Dirty Dancing Havana Nights with
Diego Luna.
Diego Luna.
Oh, I have.
Your boyfriend Diego Luna.
Oh, I love him too.
Yep.
How is that movie?
It is. It is not a 1, I will say.
Yeah.
I mean, I really try to stick it out because of Diego, because I think he's so attractive. But
I'm more of a Gael Garcia Bernal.
See,
myself.
I told myself for many years I had to choose, and then I decided I'm not choosing. I love them both.
There you go.
Very like it's a false choice.
It is.
Like what,
I was like
what Kamala Harris says.
Yes, I am rewriting the book on who you have to pick between Itu Mama Tambien characters.
Right.
But yeah, it's that thing where I tried. The story is so not great. Like I think it's the girl story is kind of weird, and I don't know. It's just not good. It's just not good.
Ramala Gari, I forgot she had a moment.
Yeah.
In like the 2000s.
Yeah.
Cella Ward, John Slattery from Mad Men.
Yep.
Oh my god.
I remember him.
January Jones.
Oh no. Is this like a Mad Men prequel? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah. How about that? Ooh, Maya from the Lady Marmalade. She's in there somewhere. Well, I mean, as a franchise, it seems like Dirty Dancing has kind of sprung forth with several other properties, but I think this is the best one.
People always come back to the 87 movie because it's so good.
Oh yeah, it's to me it like I hope that I'm not being like I'm overselling it, but it changed my life. It really did. Like I really, it was the romantic movie of my childhood. Like it was like everything for me. And I would fall down the hole with so many class-based romance movies. I mean, I've seen them all. It's like The Cutting Edge, like whatever you got. Like if there's somebody from the opposite sides of the tracks and somebody not, I will always see that movie. Like 100%.
We love us a Pretty in Pink narrative.
Love it.
And this is definitely the type of movie that we do on the show that there's not really gay subtext in this movie, but I mean, it's just definitely that escapist that we can see our young gay selves being baby and being like swept away by Patrick Swayze if we were to go to like a summer getaway with our parents and we'd sneak away with Patrick.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of like female gazy in a way. Like it is like so much is from the female perspective. I mean, obviously with Eleanor Bergstein I'm sorry, I keep saying her name wrong. Being involved, it's like her story to tell basically. And so for me, it's like that's why you see a lot of Swayze chest. That's why you see a lot of like. There's a part where like baby caresses his buns. Like he's got there's like a buns caress, and I'm like, come on, this movie is for us, right? Like,
that. I definitely took note of that buns caress last night. I was like, oh, they are following that hand.
Yes, they are.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, what a movie.
And we also have to give a shout out to this director. This is not the first movie that we've done by this director. It is directed by Emil
Ardolino.
And he directed Sister Act. And we have done Sister Act on this show. 17 Emmy Award nominations. He was a choreographer. He won an Oscar for Best Documentary. And he was openly gay, and he died of AIDS in the early 90s. And his last movie was Gypsy with Bette Midler.
For TV? Wow. Was it a TV movie?
The TV movie. Yep. So directed by an out gay man at the time.
Very, very cool. Yeah. I love that. Yeah, man. Dirty Dancing. It's on HBO Max. Go watch it. I mean, I'm sure our listeners have watched this movie several times, but
I will watch it anytime it's on. Stops me in my tracks.
Same. Same.
Yeah.
And just Patrick Swayze, what a fucking treasure. Like, Ghost was one of my favorite movies when I was a kid. I probably watched Ghost a little more than Dirty Dancing. And we also didn't watch Point Break until this past year.
Yeah.
Like, we watched it in quarantine. We had never seen it. And it was so much fun.
Yeah, I did. I did like a catch up where I hadn't seen Roadhouse in forever, and so I decided to watch Roadhouse and Point Break in the same night. Man, I mean, he did it all. Man, he was so awesome. Like a type of actor that I feel like you don't really even see anymore. Where he is kind of that. He's like masculine and feminine, and sort of kind of plays to both sides. Like he's like a guy's guy, but then he's for us, he's for women and gay men and for everybody else.
He can get up and drag in a movie like Tu Wong Fu,
exactly,
and it totally works.
Exactly. And I don't know, and he became like this kind of big sex symbol for people, which I always find fascinating, especially like in the 80s and 90s, because he seemed a lot older. Like now it feels like famous guys seem young to me, and when I remember when we were growing up, he seemed like a grown man. You know what I mean?
That's exactly.
He was saying that to me last night. He was 34, I think, when he made this movie.
Amazing. Yeah, love him.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I don't know that I could see somebody like Kurt Russell turning around and doing Tu Wong Fu.
Exactly.
And not making a joke out of it.
Yep.
You know? But yeah. Yeah. So Patrick Swayze, I mean, that hair.
We'll do more.
Oh, yeah.
Love
we have
it.
to do more. Did you have an IMDb game that you wanted to play?
Oh my gosh, yes. We didn't do it at the top of the show, but we'll do it now. So this is episode 100. So we're going to do something a little special. We're going to do a plot keyword game of some movies that we've done in our 100 episodes of the show.
Okay.
So I'm going to say like 5 keywords from movies that we've done, and I'll see if you guys can get them.
These are IMDb
Oh my God,
keywords.
I'm scared.
Yep.
Okay, and we're going to have to figure out what movie these are relating to.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. 1980s.
Okay.
Disco. Abandoned building. Mural. Album art. It's an easy one.
Xanadu.
Album art? Xanadu. Yeah.
Xanadu.
Okay.
Yep. With our episode of Darren.
Were I supposed to buzz in, or is it just anybody?
No.
Okay.
Just call
you
it
can
out.
just you can just call it out.
Okay.
Okay.
Or else we can go back and forth. Like that one's for Millie, this one will be
Okay.
for me.
Sure.
Okay.
All right. This
Okay,
one's for you.
for me.
Single mother. Polka dot dress. Teenage angst.
Mermaids.
Mermaids. You guys just did mermaids.
Yeah.
Too. On I Saw What You Did.
Yeah.
Complicated mother-daughter relationship.
It was great. Love seeing that movie.
Yeah.
Mrs. Flax. Just like
We
aspiring goals.
We love Mrs. Flax. Cha-cha moms.
Yep.
All right. So this one's for Millie.
Yes.
So Die Hard scenario. Blockbuster. Prostitute. Turtleneck shirt. Atlantic Ocean and Christmas tree.
What the hell?
Atlantic Ocean. Turtleneck. Christmas tree. You said Die Hard situation?
Die Hard scenario.
Die Hard scenario.
Oh, I know what it is.
I want to say, okay, turtleneck.
Turtleneck.
Is
I
it?
think there's a few men that wear a turtleneck in this movie too.
Oh, shit. Because I was going to say turtleneck. I was thinking like Fatal Attraction or something like that. But it's... is there a turtleneck? Now I'm thinking it's more... whatever. It's like a shoulder. There's some kind of sweater in Fatal Attraction. Maybe that's not it. You said men, huh? Die Hard scenario. Oh
I think prostitute's a big one. There's a very famous prostitute character in this movie.
Oh, shit. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I think I'm stumped. You got to tell me what
I know
the
it.
answer is.
Disaster movie.
I know it.
Early 70s.
It's from the 70s.
Academy Award nominee.
It's the Poseidon Adventure.
Okay, Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think they're going to like Greece or somewhere.
Did it say Christmas tree?
Christmas tree because they climb up the
that
Christmas tree.
Christmas tree.
If you would have said Shelley Winter screaming, I would have gotten it.
Right. Yeah.
Shelley Winter's Underwater. Great episode with Jackie Beat. That was our New Year's episode.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one's for Pete.
Sure.
Beauty salon. Title spoken by character. Sunbathing. Bare-chested male. Margaritas and pool.
Earth Girls Are Easy.
Earth Girls Are Easy.
Do you guys have margaritas on your planet?
The title said by... Oh, yeah. Gina Davis says, I don't want you to think Earth Girls Are Easy.
Oh.
She does say it.
That's a fascinating... I would love to click on that on IMDb. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
The title said by
love Earth Girls Are
character.
Easy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so for you, Millie, reference to Paula Abdul, champagne, spitting in someone's face, switchblade, jealousy, and nude swimming.
Paula Abdul?
Paula Abdul.
A reference to
to Paula Abdul. There's also a reference to Janet Jackson and Suzanne.
Suzanne.
Oh, my God. You didn't say the decade, did you?
90s.
90s. Reference to Paul Abdul spitting in someone's face.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Switchblade, swimming pool.
Sex in the swimming pool.
Oh, no, nude swimming, excuse me.
Nude swimming.
And also, I don't know if I said jealousy.
Oh, Showgirls?
It is Showgirls.
Yes!
Our Showgirls episode with Dan Renzi.
Oh, my God. Thank God I got that one.
That's our number 2 downloaded episode.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's about right. Okay, so I have one more for each of you.
Okay.
Okay, for you, Pete.
Sure.
Falling from height, nudity, knitting needle, low-budget film, making out, and autumn.
Halloween.
Halloween, 1978.
Hey.
Yeah, knitting needles.
Yep.
And nudity.
All right. Okay, so the last one for you, Millie. Identity crisis, record collector, reference to Don Knotts, reference to horoscope, and sarcasm.
It's got to be Ghost World.
It's Ghost World. Yep.
I mean,
Absolutely.
reference to Don Knotts.
Don.
I just like Don Knotts.
Yep.
That's a great game. I love it.
Yeah, that was really fun.
Yeah.
That was the first time we played that on our show.
Yeah.
This might be a new feature.
We'll probably do it more.
Yeah, that was so much fun.
We did a quiz the previous week on the movies of 1999, and I broke into MTV Movie Award nominations, and it was fun when we played that with Mike.
That was a good time. That was a good time. I love it. Oh, Millie, thank you so much for coming back on our show.
Oh, my God. Honestly, it's an honor to have been asked to come on your 100th episode, the Dirty Dancing episode. I could not be more happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
I remember first reaching out to you and being so excited that you actually replied. And I feel like we've just sort of become friends from it.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny is that because of you, we have this big niche in Atlanta. Because it comes from you, it comes from Ben.
Friends.
Just sort of, we have Mike Toscano, we have this whole group of friends of the podcast from Atlanta. And we have, I think, you to thank for that.
Well, I honestly, you guys do such great things here. I mean, like, I go on, quite a few film podcasts on occasion, and this is literally my favorite one because it's like,
oh, thank you.
We have the same sensibilities, and it's like so fun to talk about these types of movies. And I'm so like impressed that you've got to 100 episodes. I was telling you that earlier that like doing a weekly podcast is, I know it's a lot of work, but we're so grateful for you guys. It's so fun.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Why don't you talk a little bit about I Saw What You Did and where everybody can find you, social media, all that fun stuff.
Sure. Yeah. So I do a film podcast too. It's called I Saw What You Did. I do it with my good friend Daniel Henderson, and we're on the Exactly Right network. So you can find us on like Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, all that stuff. We're also if you are on Instagram, there is an Instagram for the podcast. I think it's I Saw Pod. We have kind of a great little active group. Like, I wasn't sure what to do. I was like, I don't know, like an Instagram for a podcast. I don't know if people are doing that, but like people, you guys get a good response on yours, and we did too. Yeah. So I mean, it's kind of amazing. And then, I'm on Twitter, just, Millie De Chirico. I don't really post very much anymore, but I'm there. And, that's it, really.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again so much, and we would love to have you on again in the future.
Oh, my God. I can't wait to be on your, 200th episode.
Oh, my God. Another 2 years from now.
Right.
Fingers crossed. Mm-hmm. All right, well, it's time to bid you adieu until next time. Thank
See you
so
later.
much. Bye.
Bye.
Yay. And thanks so much for listening, everybody.
Yay, 100 episodes.
100 episodes. I can't believe you have 100 in the can. Oh, goodness gracious.
Feels like we've been doing the show forever, but it also just feels like yesterday.
Yeah,
I can't make up my mind.
Seriously, it feels like we just started. But thank you so much, everybody, for listening. You guys are amazing listeners.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Keep following us on socials. Keep heading over to our Patreon. There's going to be more extra special fun stuff up on there for our 100th episode celebration.
Episodes run long, I am doing 2 cuts of the episodes. One that's longer for Patreon, and then one that's at more of a hour and 45-minute length.
Yes, indeed. So head over to our Patreon. It's www.patreon.com/moviesthatmadeusgay. It's got tons of additional material like extended episodes, watch with us commentary tracks, newsletters, all that fun stuff. So check it out. We've got some Patreon. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, and around the time this episode comes out for 100, our free Patreon commentary episode will be out and posted.
Yes, indeed. You can listen to our commentary track for 10 Things I Hate About You, but you're going to have to do it through the Patreon website or the Patreon app. It will be free. You don't have to subscribe, but you have to do it through the Patreon app. And once you're there, you can check out all the other Watch of This commentary tracks you're missing out on. So go ahead and subscribe. But in the meantime, we want to say hello to our current Patreon subscribers: Charlie, Heather, Muffy, Paul, Jamie, Drew, Jimmy, Genevieve, Dawn, Josh, Emma, Melly, Aaron, Melinda, Jim, Jessica, John, Nick, Christine, and Rufino. Thank you for being a friend.
Thank you.
Thanks, you guys. Keep on listening for some extra stuff. And we'd love it if you would head on over to Apple Podcasts to rate and review our show.
Give us 5 stars, please.
Yes, indeed. Please give us 5 stars. And also write us a good review. If you write us a good review, we will read it on the air.
Yeah.
On an episode upcoming. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at
MTMUGpod on Twitter.
Yes, indeed. And you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Movies That Made Us Gay. That's what I meant to say there. You can follow me, Pete, on Instagram and Facebook at Peter Lasagna.
And I'm Scott Youngballer on Instagram. I have like 3 handles, so I always have to think about it. Oscar Scott on Twitter, and then just Scott Youngballer on Letterboxd.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. 100 episodes.
Woo!
We'll see you
Thanks,
next
guys.
week for 101. Bye.
Bye.